Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Monday morning. It's Makeover Monday. The chance to whatever you did last week to start over. It's a new beginning. It's Monday. This is episode 1390. Good morning. Matt, I'm here with Miss Mara, spinning the dials. Kastuba's back from his 24-hour vacation from the podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Got to do like workout or something, do some yoga. What'd you do?
I busied myself.
You busied yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's merch makeover Monday. That's another one.
You can make yourself over with some of our wisdom and merch.
Some of the merch. What's going on?
I'm just we're getting into arguments over sheep. We're having sheep arguments right now, me and Mara.
Anything can become the source of conflict if we're not like in the right headspace, right?
Yeah. You know, I had a plan today to go ride my bike, and the sheep are out. And the problem with the sheep being out is they just 10 times get in the garden. They just eat all the flowers.
Let them eat.
That's what I say. Let them eat a little bit.
Let them eat the grass.
I agree. Let them eat the grass. But, you know, I think they have some trauma with the electric fence because one got caught in the electric fence when I was not here.
Caught in it?
Yeah. And so
Raghunath, that's horrible.
I know. And now I don't want to put him back in the electric fence.
Oh, just touching that thing is like,
I know.
Traumatic enough.
I know. I touched it once. I've touched it many times, and sometimes you get a little shock, and sometimes you get like a whoa shock. But if you're trapped on it, I think they're a little traumatized, so they don't want to go in the fence. They don't want to stay on the other side of the bridge. They want to come here, and they want to eat all the flowers.
All right.
Anyway, so that's what we're dealing
with. Take good care of those
sheep issues.
Which Ragu seems a little distressed with me about the sheep eating the flowers.
It's not Mara's fault.
She accused the sheep of eating the flowers, and they weren't. They were actually mowing around the flower beds.
Okay, Mara, you go easy on the sheep.
The flower bed.
I'm sensing a little anti-sheep sentiment coming from Mara over here.
I like the sheep. I just like them on the lawn,
like the flowers
not
too.
in the garden beds.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to build a nice little, kind of one of those little fences around the flowers, maybe. You can figure it out. I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Anyway,
let's get into this.
All right. Messages for today. What's going on?
What's some announcements?
Announcements for today.
Back to your cover group meeting at 1 p.m. And it's Wear Your Merch Monday. I think I might be the only one wearing my merch on Zoom today.
Okay.
But help us promote the show by wearing your
Lori Pag has. Lori Pag's
got a shirt, a sweatshirt.
So share a pic on social media and tag us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll share it.
Nice.
Were you giving away any presents for wearing him? No, that's over too. No one's gonna wear their merch anymore.
It's just you do it out of the love of your heart.
Okay.
That helps share the show.
There you go.
By the way, I just thought I'd mention real quick is that the Sage groups was a short session for the summer, like an 8-week thing. It's winding up now. And we start the new ones. Registration for the new Sage groups is going to begin August 17th. So that's not far down the road, huh? It's in 5 days.
Friday? Saturday?
Yeah. So we'll share more with that as we get into it. Time to join Sage groups, new groups.
So it's a whole new beginning. Do you get to rearrange the groups, or you have to be in the same one? Can you be in the same one again if you liked it?
You're actually encouraged to find another group. Although
new people
do, meet new people, but people do sometimes stay in the same group, and so and you choose the group that you want to be in, and of course we'll let you know the exact time that we open up the registration. But the quicker you do, the better chance you have on getting into the first choice group that you want to get into.
Nice. I'm going to give a shout out to Tom Essig, the film Something Divine. We're having a
Yeah.
premiere of it in Arlington, Massachusetts on the 21st at the Regent Theater at 5 p.m. If you want to come, probably best to get your tickets in advance. But we're having a whole gang of Wisdom of the Sages people going down. The Chief and Lori are coming. Me and Mare are going. Timothy Tucker is going. Jamie Step Dojo we're trying to drag away from work. And I got some hardcore people that I know, old school hardcore people showing up. So I'm looking forward to it. Having a little
Okay.
vacation in the Boston area. To spread the word to people, especially people who are like sort of, if you know people who are sort of into hardcore but not necessarily into Krishna or they're Krishna friendly, invite them to the movie. They might really dig it. It's really done well.
Dig
Tom,
it?
Thomas did a
dig
really
it.
good job. You dig it? They might dig it.
Can you
They
dig
might
it?
dig it. You don't say dig it. That dig it has stayed around for about 40 years
Uh,
now.
Dig
It's a
it is like a really groovy way of expression.
Groovy maybe
It's
came
fab.
and gone, but dig
It's-
it. I still say dig it.
It's boss. It's
All right.
okay. Let's
I'm not
hear
in a
the nugget.
jokey mood today.
You're,
Okay.
you're good. What's the matter, little Bubba Ganoush? You're Mr. Grumpus over here today.
I was doing good. I got into a sheep argument.
Why don't we
Okay.
get into the nugget?
All right. Here's the
Who's it
nugget,
from?
and it is from Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
Who's Cesar Chavez?
He was like a labor union kind of leader in California. I think he kind of brought together all like the farm workers. He created some important union of farm workers.
Okay.
But I think he combined like Catholic teachings
Hmm.
with his, activism in some way. And he became, quite the legend, I think.
He says the end of all knowledge, right? Like we say Bhakti Vedanta. We say the end of all
Vedanta.
knowledge. Vedanta,
Vedanta.
the end of knowledge. He says the end of knowledge should be service to others. Pretty
We're kind of
close.
we're with him. Yeah, I know.
Pretty close to
in one
what
sense,
we're
right
saying.
on. Yeah, it could get more
Yeah.
specific, but yeah, we
The end
bind
of all
to it.
knowledge should be service to others. We say Bhakti Vedanta. The end of knowledge is Bhakti, which
Yeah,
is loving devotional service to the
to others.
Supreme Lord. How do you serve the Supreme Lord? You serve the devotees. Boom. He that's it.
Thank you.
He doesn't even realize he said it. Or maybe he got a book.
I
Huh.
don't think
I like this Prabhupada guy. I'm going to steal something from
end
it.
of knowledge. Yes. Yeah, the Veda Anta, the end of knowledge. One can study all this vast Vedic literature,
Hmm.
but then where does it all go? What is the Siddhanta? Like what is the conclusion of it all? What is the Vedanta? Where does it all end? And the Bhakti Vedantas, they say that it ends with service, right? And this is important because it's important on many levels, but I think just probably on the level that he was speaking, he realized something about our nature, right? That we find our meaning and we find our true happiness in service, right? Not that it's not exactly in being served, it's in serving others that we find our purpose and meaning and happiness. So, I think he caught on to that. But also, where we're going with it, I think also is that when you interpret there's two schools of Vedanta, right? There's the Bhakti Vedantas, which is the kind of the path that we follow. And then you could say they're the Advaitins, the Advaita Vedantins. And, like for instance, there's a famous Advaitin, Ramana Maharshi. Yeah, interesting person. Lived up there in the mountain, and I don't doubt that that he had that he was authentic
powers.
in his practice, and that he had some deep realizations. But it's the conclusion of it where it, in the mind of the Bhaktivedantas, it falls apart, right? Like he was once asked, how should we treat others? Right? How should we treat others? And his answer, do you know the answer he gave? It's widely quoted, his answer.
Like we are all others.
No, there are no others. There are no others.
I like that one.
Well, then you're my body. Get out of here.
There are no others.
No, Raghunath, come back. Raghunath becomes a my body. Episode
No, there are
13.
no others. There are no others.
Oh, there aren't? Well, according to Bhagavad Gita, there are. According to Bhagavad Gita, there
That
are.
means we see people as you and as
That's
me
not what he meant,
as the same.
Raghunath. That's not what he meant. He meant in the absolute sense, there are no others. There's only one. That the experience of me being me and you being you is an illusion. That in truth, that all dissolves and there is only one being, one divine energy. That's what he meant when he said there are no others. He didn't mean like, you see, what we say is we're one and different. So you're appreciating the oneness in one sense. Yeah, we're all made of the same energy, and in that sense, we're all one. And I suppose you could stretch it and say there are no others. Meaning like there's, I mean, if you mean by that,
we're
there's
all
no
unique
enemies.
personalities, but we're connected.
Yeah, that's
Pearls are strung in a thread.
I suppose.
Each pearl is unique. Each pearl is glorious. Each pearl is shiny. Each pearl is valuable.
Okay.
And there's an underlying source that connects us all.
Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's it also speaks to that, this text 7:19, Bahunam Janmana Ante, when you get to the end, of Jnana, Bahunam Janmanam, after many births even, at the end of many births, Jnanavan, one who's achieved knowledge. Then Krishna says, Mam Prapadyate, that they surrender unto me. He doesn't say that they realize all is one. Actually, what he says is, he does say, Vasudeva Sarvamati. He realized that Vasudeva, or Krishna, is everything.
When you realize that Krishna is the cause of all causes, then you just want to give your life to him.
So that's where knowledge leads. Is
just like when you meet someone who's very impressive, you want to just like, tell me more. You want to sit at their feet and just hear from them. You want to serve them. It's a natural thing.
It's a natural thing. Just all across the Bhagavad Gita, when at the end, when we keep saying end, the end of all knowledge, at the end, when Krishna turns to Arjuna and says, have you heard me? Does this all make sense to you? How are you feeling? After hearing the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says, my illusion has now been destroyed, right? I was an illusion before you spoke this. My illusion's gone. But he doesn't say, and now I realize there are no others, that we are all one, he says, no, now I'm ready to serve you, right? Now I'm ready to serve you. The individuality that Krishna has and that Arjuna has, he doesn't say, now that my illusion's gone, I realize that our individuality was an illusion. He says, no, now now that my illusion is gone, I realize I'm ready to serve you. The illusion was that I was trying to seek happiness in some other way, through some external temporary thing. When the illusion's gone, the end of all knowledge, I want to serve Krishna, and through serving Krishna, serve others. Or you can say it the other way too, through serving others, serving Krishna, because Krishna is in the heart of every living being. Come on, Rogo. Wake, snap out of you. You're a grumpy old guy today. What's with you? You're my body. You're grumpy. What's going on today, man? What did you do this weekend? What happened? Mara, fill me in.
Thinking of the sheep. I'm thinking of the sheep.
All right.
Got sheep on my mind.
Just
all right.
Give them a little hug. Give them a little hug. You've traumatized them with your electric fence. There you go. Mara's helping you out over here. It's okay. What happened, Raghunath? Little Baba Ganoush, come on.
All right, let's go down with this.
Oh, he's really.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, whichever means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan, unto Narayan, Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and the Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14, Text 17.
Oh, how you feeling now? You feel a little better?
You want me to start?
You don't even want to answer me.
I'm not going to let me just deal today. Okay, let me
Let
deal
me-
with this.
All right. Well, I was just
Supreme
checking in on
personality
you.
of Godhead.
Hold it. Let's
Be
have
Krishna.
it's Monday morning. Let's have a little recap.
Okay.
Shall we do that? Is that all right?
Yeah. You missed a good interview yesterday. It was really nice.
How did that interview go?
I got a lot of positive feedback from it.
It's not just about how other people are viewing you, though. I want to know in your own heart, how did you feel?
You know why? It wasn't an interview. It was a conversation. It was a great conversation. It wasn't an interview.
Interviews
We
are
just-
conversations.
We just had not
But you're
necessarily.
just saying,
Not necessarily. There was no direction. I tried to make it like that at first. I wrote all these bullet points, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to talk to this guy, and it was great.
all right.
I just liked it. He talked. I shared. He shared. I shared. Sonny the cat says it was a great class yesterday.
There you go.
All right.
So we've got the great sage Narada speaking to the great King Yudhishthira, explaining what are the duties for married people, right? People that aren't the renunciates in this yogic society. How are they supposed to live? And we're hearing, like, of course, the pitfalls are, like wealth is one. I've got my own money now. I can go out and buy the things that I want. I can set up my home the way I want it. I can get the thing, and one can begin to drift off. One can begin to slip into illusion. One can begin to lose their focus. And so he's trying to provide some guidance. He's illustrating how the Vedic texts, the sages through the Vedic texts, have provided guidance. And here's how you regulate your life as a married person, as a householder, in such a way that it helps keep you on the right path, keep you moving forward, not getting diverted. And, what do you do if you have wealth? Well, he's saying, you have to invest that in yajna. You have to, you have to invest, sacrifice that in some way that brings your own consciousness to the truth, that hopefully involves others in bringing their awareness to the truth, so that you don't get diverted. Rather than seeing whatever wealth one achieves as my ticket to external happiness, invest it, make it an offering, put it back in to the universe, put it back into God, and in this way keep your focus there, and that has, within that Vedic context, you put on events. We were talking about, I think we're talking about weddings last time we were speaking, right? A wedding is kind of an example of something like that. What we do, we might lose the purpose of it, but the idea is, let's invite everybody to come here so that we get their blessings for this sacred ritual that we're performing, and then let's satisfy those people by feeding them well and putting on a nice event. These Vedic yagnas, or these Vedic ceremonies, were kind of like that, but with a tighter focus. A tighter way of bringing one together. And, we didn't read it, but in that text 16, in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada does this often, is when there's talk of yagna, right? When there's talk about the sacrifice, and, we picture these yagnas of the past ages, but they're very difficult to do in this age. We don't have that kind of wealth. We don't have the purity of the ingredients to offer. So where does Srila Prabhupada often point us? Yeah, Raghu?
I don't know.
Oh, come on.
They're chanting the holy
I'm not
name?
participating.
They're chanting the holy name.
Thank you. Yes.
I don't know. I thought
Yeah.
you're.
Yeah. So there's a verse in the Bhagavatam towards the end of the Bhagavatam, like it's in the 12th canto, where it talks about the different ages, the different yugas, and that in each of the yuga there's a yuga dharma, right? There's a way of practicing There's a way of absorbing one's attention and one's actions. In a dharma, in a purpose that's tailored to the particular age. All right, you know the verse I'm talking about, Raghunath?
In this age,
It goes there, but it mentions all four. That in the
no, I know
Satya
the
Yuga,
verse.
one meditates on Lord Vishnu. That was the Yuga Dharma, right? You just sit down quiet, like Ashtanga Yoga. You would sit down peacefully, with fully controlled senses, go deep into a state of trance, connect to Lord Vishnu in your heart. But as the ages change, it becomes more difficult to do that kind of thing. In the Treta Yuga, it's performing these elaborate yagnas. And in the Dwapara Yuga, it's temple rituals. But in the Kali Yuga, Kalautad Dari Kirtanat. In the Kali Yuga, it's the kirtan of the name of Hari. It's this, especially the Maha Mantra. That becomes our yagna, right? That becomes the way that we sacrifice, is simply by chanting the name. It's an offering, and it's something that can be done publicly. That can involve everyone and get everybody like moving in the right direction. Get everyone working together. So, Srila Prabhupada will often say, this is what you need to do. Like, this is as a society, this is what we should be doing in this age, is that we should be putting on big kirtans, inviting people to come to them, and feeding everyone prasad, right? Feeding everyone sacred food that's been made an offering to God. That formula right there, I see Raghunath nodding. He's thawing out a little bit here. He's like, yeah, that's right. I like those events. I'm into that. Right?
It's a powerful, simple formula.
Yeah.
Come
that gets-
together, sing.
Yeah.
Singing is it's magical. People
But
get
not
together
just
and
singing
sing.
anything, Raghunath, right?
Well, singing anything is pretty magical, I think. Singing mantras is more
Okay.
magical.
Yeah, okay.
No, it
It's
is.
true.
It
I'm
is.
not
You
going
can
to
sing
agree
happy
today.
nursery rhymes is a magical thing. If you just sing songs, it helps your mind.
All
Singing has
right.
been proven to affect the mind of people.
But
But
still,
singing
it's not quite
mantras,
the Yuga Dharma.
it's not the Yuga Dharma,
Okay, thank you.
but
Thank you.
it is
It's
I don't want to
deeply
cut off
magical.
that we only have the only way to help people become happy. But as far as a transcendental method of self-realization, yeah, singing the Maha Mantra, singing sacred names of Lord Vishnu, that's the key.
It's
And
really
getting together, offering prasad.
yeah. It's really the beginning and the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mm.
The last. I'll read you the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll jump to the end. You ready? Yeah. It's a good idea when you're doing a podcast that you speak
Yeah.
rather than just nod.
I'm going to put this out there right now to both of you guys. I'm allowed to have a tough day, okay? That's okay to have a tough day, okay? And if you keep poking at it,
I'm going to
it's
keep
just going to
poking.
get worse. It's going to get worse.
I'm going to keep poking. All right. The last verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord Hari. The congregational chanting of whose holy names destroys all bad karma, and the offering of obeisances unto whom relieves all material suffering.
Mm.
That's where it goes, right?
A great, powerful statement.
Okay. So now we're hearing a little bit more about these sacrifices that a grihasta does. How we engage our wealth, how we focus it. It's not just spent on material luxuries or meaningless vacations or things like that. But no, there's another way to invest it. And I think that whenever there's these kind of regulations, there's always, commonly we can approach them in a shallow way. But I think Narada is going to anticipate a shallow approach to ritual, where we actually, I think it's kind of like a religious tendency where we get into the rituals and we actually begin to ignore people, or we're insensitive to other people. And so here I think he's going to kind of anticipate that and speak to connecting with people through it.
Okay.
X17.
X17. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Sri Krishna is the enjoyer of sacrificial offerings. Yet, although his lordship eats the oblations offered in the fire, my dear king, he is still more satisfied when nice food made of grains and ghee is offered to him through the mouths of the qualified brahmanas.
Okay.
That means you're serving the devotees as opposed to even serving him. Therefore, my dear king, first offer prasad unto the brahmanas and the demigods, and after sumptuously feeding them, you may distribute prasad to other living entities according to your ability. In this way, you'll be able to worship all living entities, or in other words, the supreme living entity within every living entity.
Okay.
Is the whole
Right.
gist of it here.
I'm sorry?
It is the whole gist of it. You serve God by serving everybody else. There is a God, but God is more pleased when you serve the devotees.
Yeah, he's imagine someone's got a little, even if they don't have a lot, but if they have some wealth and they're kind of putting on a religious ceremony, we're so prone to kind of like do it in a way where we kind of advertise our own piety
Mm.
and in our own exclusive connection with God, you could say. I once heard a description of the most esoteric part of the Bhagavatam, of all the Vedic literature, which describes Krishna's Rasa Leela.
Mm.
And in that Rasa Leela where like Krishna's dancing with all of the gopis, and then he kind of disappears and he's with one of them. And then he disappears from that one. And then they have to find him again. And it's described that she had the feeling like Krishna's just with me. And I heard the description of it is that when we think God is just our own, he disappears, right? Which is actually pretty profound, even like when religious institutions think we're the only ones with access to God, he kind of disappears from that institution, or when here when we think that individually, oh, I'm the one that has this special connection to God, we actually kind of lose our connection.
Sure.
And so here it's saying that, this being prone to that kind of narrowness, he's saying that when you do this when you make these offerings, when you put on these ceremonies, when you create these events and so on, do it in such a way where you're really focused on satisfying everyone else, by satisfying God through satisfying everyone else. In that way, you won't fall into that into that narrow mindset. It'll protect you from that. And it's saying that actually God in the heart of every living being is more pleased with that. More pleased to see you serving in that way than trying to connect with him exclusively or directly.
Okay, text 19. A brahmana who is sufficiently rich must offer oblations to the forefathers during the dark moon fortnight in the latter part of the month of Bhadra. Similarly, he should offer oblations to the relatives of the forefathers during the Mahalaya ceremonies in the month of Ashvina.
Okay, so now we're getting like times to do things, right?
Hmm.
That there's a calendar here, and a responsible householder is looking at that calendar and realizing that on different days I'm supposed to stay regulated, follow the path that's being laid out, and engage myself. And if I engage in this way regularly, it's going to have an uplifting effect on my mind.
It's all according to like the moon phases.
Yeah.
So the planets have to do with the auspiciousness or inauspiciousness of a day. And even like with the farmer's almanac, there's certain days you plant and there's certain days you harvest and there's certain days, and they follow. So there's certain days of performing sacrifice as well. And it's just more effective on those days. I don't know why it is like that, but those who are sort of into the metaphysical world, they're very acute to those in the same, or tuned into those in the same way the farmers are attuned to their farmer's almanac. One should perform the Shraddha ceremony on the Makara Sankranti. That's another auspicious day.
Sankranti.
The day when the sun begins to move north. Or the Karkata Sankranti, the day when the sun begins to move south. One should also perform ceremony on the Mesa Sakranti day and the Tula Sakranti day in the yoga named Vyatipata. On that day in which 3 lunar titis are conjoined. There's a whole study of the celestial bodies.
Lunar periods.
During an eclipse of either the moon or the sun on the 12th lunar day and in the Shravan Nakshatra. Once you perform this ceremony on the Akshay Tritiya day, on the 9th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartik.
That's
on
the
the
day. Is that Akshay Tritiya? That's the day where it's auspicious to begin things, right?
Akshay, but
Is that the one?
I guess it is. Then the next one is not that. On the 9th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the Kartik, because Akshaya Tritiya is not in the Kartik.
Mhm.
So maybe they're talking about another day. On the yeah, it is.
There was a
on
comma
the 4
there.
Astakas in the winter season and the cool season. On the 7th lunar day, man, some people are really into all this stuff too.
Yeah, a
that
lot of
like they
people.
really know these things. Anyway, if I was reading this, I'd sort of skip over it, but I'll read it. Maga Nakshatra, or the full moon day. And on the days when the moon is completely full, or not quite completely full, when these days are conjoined with the nakshatras from which the names of certain months are derived. One should also perform the Shraddha ceremony on the 12th lunar day, when it is in conjunction with any of the nakshatras named Anuradha, Shravana, Uttara Palguni, Uttara Sadha, or Uttara Bhadrapada. Again, one should perform this ceremony when the 11th lunar day is in conjunction with the 8th Uttara Palguni, Uttara Sadha, or Uttara Bhadrapada. Finally, so if you got all that, finally, one should perform this ceremony on the days conjoined with one's own birth star, the Janma Nakshatra, or with Shravana Nakshatra. All right, what do we do with all this information?
Well, you know,
nothing.
how we practice bhakti, it's going to be different for different people. And Srila Prabhupada was like so expert that like he took from this tradition and he kind of boiled it down to its essence for us so that we could engage in it practically.
Hmm.
You know, it's there, as you're saying, like some people really are into this, right? Like we know people that'll really, you know, they'll live according to this calendar.
Yeah,
You know,
it's quite impressive.
whereas like what we've been giving especially is more of a focus on like you know our calendars like Krishna's birthday, Sri Chaitanya's birthday, Radha's birthday, you know, with the day Krishna lived Govardhan Hill. Like we kind of bring it right to the essence of Krishna Bhakti because
And
we
even that's a lot. Even that's a lot. We've got like a 20 solid holidays at least a year. And that's and we're like, you know, just trying to be essential.
Sure. And we focus on auspicious parts of the day. We try to wake up early in the morning, you know, during the Brahma Muhurta, that time of day that's auspicious for meditation and so on, and you know, benefit from that, you know, from that auspicious time. We focus on Ekadashis, you know, which roll around every 2 weeks or so, and we try to make that a time of more focus on spirit, you know, on spiritual life. So it's not that we ignore these things, but we're only going to be able to engage in so much. If we lived in a different world and in a different society, you know, that was all centered around this, then we might be able to engage in it more deeply. But, you know, often what we find here in Bhagavatam is it's going to say, in the end, you don't have to, you know, like I said, I read the last verse of the Bhagavatam, right? Just chant Krishna's names. You know, that's really what it comes down to. And so if these things are going to help you keep your consciousness there, then great. And if it's going to be too much and it's going to break you, then we don't have to worry about it too much. So even as we see this chapter will come to its conclusion, it's going to begin to focus more on serving others, satisfying God through serving others as a sacrifice, and finding God in your own heart that way. You know, like that'll become more the essential message that's presented.
Text 24. All these seasonal times are considered extremely auspicious for humanity. At such times, one should perform all auspicious activities, for by such activities, a human being attains success in his short duration of life. I love how the fact that They like redefine success. We have this other idea of success often, and maybe it means to be on the cover of a magazine or to win a gold medal, or this is a whole different measurement of what success is in human life. What are you going to spiritually become? Are you going to resurrect your spiritual self in this life? Who cares if you've lived your full material human potential, but you're miserable? Who cares? Right? There's a lot of people really pushing themselves for their potential. I'm getting sick of potential. I'm getting sick of potential because sometimes it's material potential. And so in the name of a material potential, they might give up their whole spiritual life. Who cares?
I don't care.
Do you care?
No, I don't care.
Good. Text 25. During these periods of seasonal change, if one bathes in the Ganga or the Yamuna or in other sacred places, or if one chants, offers fire sacrifices, or executes vows, or if one worships the Supreme Lord, the Brahmins, the forefathers, the demigods, and the living entities in general, whatever he gives in charity yields a permanently beneficial result. 26. O King Yudhisthira, at this time prescribed for reformatory ritualistic ceremonies for oneself, one's wife, or one's children, or during funeral ceremonies and annual death ceremonies, one must perform the auspicious ceremonies mentioned above in order to flourish in fruitive activities.
Okay.
How to get good karma.
And that's not our goal here. You know, so Yudhishthira, in one sense, he's speaking like this is the way, this is kind of the elementary level that one enters in. Is
Sure.
one's, you know, one's going to be very attentive to these details so that they can accrue good karma.
Auspicious, indeed, are the places where...
You skipped a verse.
Narada Muni continued, now she'll describe the places where religious performances may be well executed. Any place where a Vaiṣṇava is available is an excellent place for all auspicious activities.
That's an incredible statement right there. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Vaiṣṇava
in other words,
makes it a holy place.
That's right. The quality of the people, what they hold in their heart, you know, what they embody, you become a walking holy place, you know, a person like that.
We should want to be aspiring Vaishnavas. We want to worship Lord Vishnu and follow the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore life becomes auspicious. And people around us, they have an auspicious life. And all we have to do is focus on ourselves. Someone came to me with a story about like their children, how to help their children. And my answer was simple. You really just got to help yourself. You got to really help yourself become a Vaishnava. We can't control what kids choose to do. All we can control is what we can control. And then hopefully we set such a good example of love and understanding and kindness that the kid eventually says, you know what? I want to be like dad or mom. Okay. Narada Muni continued, now I shall describe the places where religious is executed. Okay. I'm sorry. Where anywhere there's a Vaishnava. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the support of this entire cosmic manifestation with all its moving and non-moving living entities. And the temple where the deity of the Lord is installed is the most sacred place. Furthermore, places where learned brahmanas observe Vedic principles by means of austerity, education, and mercy are also most auspicious and sacred.
Okay. So if you want to do some ceremony that's going to help bring your consciousness to truth, you know, bring it to God, bring it to truth, elevate it, you pull it out of its loops and cycles of ups and downs and you know, pettiness, then you want to regularly do these kind of, you want to engage yourself like this regularly. And the idea is that the effect of it can go deeper if you're in a place that's conducive for it. Okay, well, what are the places that's conducive for it? And rather than just come right out of the gate and saying, well, there's this holy place and there's that holy place. Narada, the first thing that he says is, you know, if there's a person there who's a Vaishnava, who's a bhakti yogi, someone that's got some depth to it, then just being around them, that's the best place to do it. Because when you're with them, you're aware that ritual won't be a hollow, empty one. They're going to help pull your consciousness into that ritual in a way where, you're focused right. Just their presence of being there is it brings you to that, it brings your own awareness to that place. And it's like that, we all feel that. Then the next thing it says is that, Krishna, he's the support of the entire cosmic manifestation. It's all resting on him. So sometimes we build a temple, and that temple is like the place where we come to have that focused attention, right? You have an altar, the whole architecture is designed to bring your awareness right to that central focus. So therefore a temple can be a good place to do it, right? It's not because it's some religious concern. It's actually like a yogic concern, right? That when you're in that space, one's mind naturally goes to God. And then he says, what was the third one that he said? For more place where learned brahmanas observe Vedic principles. So go where the people are focused. Be around the people that are focused, and you'll naturally become more focused in whatever you're doing, and it won't just be a meaningless, empty ritual. It'll become transformative.
Auspicious indeed are the places where there is a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in which he is duly worshipped, and also places where there flow the celebrated sacred rivers mentioned in the Puranas, the supplementary Vedic literatures. Anything spiritual done there is certainly very effective.
Okay.
Well, one thing is where the rivers are, there's generally sacred people worshiping the rivers. You go to any, you go to the Yamuna, you go to the Ganga. I mentioned in my book that even I haven't been to the Ganga in Calcutta in a while, but when I went to the Ganga in Calcutta, even though it's like a regular shipyard where they're like loading cargo ships, there's Brahmins down there worshiping deities of Ganesh and Shiva, and a bunch of Indian ladies taking bath in saris. It's like where the Ganga flows, there's people worshiping the Ganga. Then this is very interesting. It mentions this. It says where the Supreme Personality of God in Krishna, where he is duly worshipped. Have you ever gone to a temple where the Lord is not duly worshipped? He's not actually. It's almost like more like a statue. Some temples, it's almost like they have never been taught how to worship properly, and it almost becomes like a statue with some plastic flowers. After Prabhupada sets the bar so high in deity worship that when we go into another temple, we're sort of like, wait a second, are you worshiping the deity properly here? You feel like you developed some discernment of what worship actually is. And when there's worship appropriately, you actually feel like this is a sacred space. It's not just like a pretty space or
you can feel that
decorative.
in people's homes too, when they have a deity or in their home. Like sometimes you feel like, whoa, this is Krishna is present here. The energy is happening here. And then other times like, oh, this is just kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah, you can tell when the deity is properly worshipped and properly loved.
Feel it.
There's some potency there. We're just like puja shaming people now. Okay. Did you puja shame me? Okay, the sacred lakes like Pushkar. Wait, no, we missed one. Is that it?
What?
Okay. The sacred lakes like Pushkar. We've had such wonderful trips to Pushkar. Springbecks. So interesting that here they're talking about Pushkar, and like people are still going on pilgrimage to Pushkar.
That's right.
Sacred lakes like Pushkar.
Bring the camels there.
Right? Yeah, big camel festivals.
Do they bring the camels into the lake? Do they get to fill up over there?
I'm sure they do, but I don't think the camel festival is near the lake.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big place, Pushkar. The sacred lakes like Pushkar and the places where saintly persons live like Kurukshetra, Gaya, Prayag, Pula Ashrama, Namasarinya, the banks of the Palgu River, Setu Banda. Have you been to Setu Banda?
Setu Banda. Where's Setu Banda? I don't even know.
That's like the bottom of India where they built the bridge. Just where the bridge was built.
Oh, that's Setu. Okay. No, I haven't been there.
Prabhas. I've never been to Prabhas. You read about a lot.
I haven't
Prabhas
been
a
to
lot.
Pushkar. I haven't been to Kurukshetra. I haven't been to Gaya. I haven't been to Prayag. I haven't been to
Pushkar. I
Ashram.
got a Pushkar.
I haven't been to Naimisharanya. I haven't been to the banks of the Falguni River. I haven't been to Setu Banda. I haven't been to any of these places. I haven't been to Dwarka,
I
Prabhas,
gotta go on a
Varanasi.
real like Balaram Tirthayatra.
I have been to Mathura.
Varanasi.
No,
Mm.
I haven't been.
Sarovra.
I've been near it, but I haven't been there.
Bindu Sarovra is in Bhubaneswar.
Yeah, Orissa.
Yeah, and of course, Badarikashram.
Haven't
The
been
places where the Nanda River flows, the places where Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita took shelter, such as
Chitrakoot.
Chitrakoot. Ooh, we almost went to Chitrakoot this year.
You almost did.
Yeah,
You almost went to Dwarka too.
almost went to Dwarka. And also the hilly tracts of land known as Mahendra and the Malaya. The Malaya is where the sandalwood, right? All these are to be considered most pious and sacred. Similarly, places outside of India where there are centers of Krishna consciousness movement and where Radha Krishna deities are worshipped. Worship. Where are we?
You okay there, Rogue?
I screwed up the screen on him.
Radha Krishna deities are worshipped, must all be visited and worshipped by those who want to be spiritually advanced. I'm supposing Prabhupada just added that.
Yes.
Okay. One who intends to advance in spiritual life may visit all these places and perform ritualistic ceremonies to get results 1,000 times better than the results of the same activities performed in any other place. So it is like a highlight. I think when devotees say, hey, we're going to go to Paris, the first thing they think of, oh, there's a temple in Paris, isn't there? Or if they say, I'm going to go to Sweden, wait, there's a temple in Sweden. You know, it's like we don't fully enjoy a holiday unless we know, hey, is there a temple there? And if there is a temple there, we're thinking, how can I go to that temple there? And then sometimes you just go on some holiday and Krishna puts a temple right there. Remember that letter we got from somebody? They went on a holiday in some peculiar island off of England. I can't remember who it was. And they said, yeah, we got an Airbnb randomly. And there was a temple right below us, like in an apartment or something. We heard them chanting all the time. It was like such a weird Krishna miracle. Krishna miracles happening on a regular basis to those devotees of Lord Vishnu. Don't even have to pray for a miracle. They're just going to come. You're going to notice them.
Let's keep it going.
Text 34. O King of the Earth. It's like being Mr. Universe.
Mr. Earth.
Mr. Earth. O King of the Earth. It has been decided by expert learned scholars that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in whom all that is moving or non-moving within this universe is resting, and from whom everything is coming, is the best person to whom everything must be given.
Now it's getting to the essence, right?
Yeah. O King Yudhisthira, the demigods, many great sages and saints, including even the 4 sons of Lord Brahma, right, the 4 Kumars, and I, myself, were present at your Rajasuya sacrificial ceremony. But when there was a question of who should be the first person worshipped, everyone decided upon Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person. Right? That was a big question of contention, you know, and it caused a big fight. Because all the demons who didn't worship Krishna, they were like, well, why are you going to worship Krishna? Krishna appears ordinary to those who are ordinary. But for the spiritualists, you start to realize, wow, Krishna's so special. To the ordinary, people think, oh, it's just some other peculiar religion, some other holy book from some religious sect. But if you start to love Krishna, then you realize this is very powerful stuff here. And Krishna starts to reveal himself to you. The entire universe, which is full of living entities, is like the tree whose root is the supreme personality of Godhead. Krishna, therefore, simply by worship, personality of Godhead, Krishna. Therefore, simply by worshiping Lord Krishna, one can worship all living entities.
That verse right there. There's like the whole key to the universe in it. Why don't you read that again?
The entire universe, which is full of living entities, is like a tree whose roots is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna. Therefore, simply by worshiping Lord Krishna, one can worship all living entities.
That's it. That's the key to the universe.
It's really it's the key to all our problems that are going on in the world right now. Trying to figure out. It's really simple. Worship Krishna. See Krishna in every living being. That's the news. That's all you need to know. If everyone just like embraced that, what a world we'd live in.
Yeah.
You love God, you love Allah, you love Christ. That's all you got to do. Treat everybody like Christ is in everyone's heart. That's how you can worship God. Also, worship God and worship everybody as if God is in their heart. Whatever you want to call God. Let go of resentment. Let go of fear. Let go of tribalism. Yeah, there'll be different tribes with different cultures and different rituals. But ultimately, there's one tribe we're all part of. We are one. There are no others.
No, there are
Mayavadi
others.
philosophy?
Yeah, enough of your Mayavadi. As soon as you started speaking Mayavadi philosophy, you got all depressed, Raghunath. I want to take note of that.
Meaning there are external tribal differences when you travel around the world. That's normal. Even in India, you have different classical dances and classical musics. But
Yeah, nothing wrong with
all spiritual beings. There's nothing wrong with that.
recognizing the oneness, recognizing the difference.
Yes.
That's the balanced approach. That's the mature approach. That's the realized approach.
All right.
Let's finish up the chapter.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead has created many residential places like bodies of human beings, animals, birds, saints, and demigods. Isn't that interesting? They're residential places. A bird is a residence of a soul. Is a residence of a soul. A demigod is a residence. In all of these innumerable bodily forms, the Lord resides with the living being as Paramatma. Thus, he is known as Purusha Avatara. Purusha Avatara. Oh, King Yudhisthira,
Actually, I recognize it's 8 o'clock already, Raghunath. Why don't we'll end the chapter tomorrow. There's nice stuff here. All right.
Mara, takeaways.
Serve others to serve Krishna.
Yes.
Offer to and invest your wealth in God. The formula is to come together for Kirtan and Prasad.
That's our formula.
God is pleased when you serve the devotees.
That's the best way to please him.
When we think we're the only ones connected to Krishna, he disappears.
Poof.
Don't worry too much about the lunar phases. Just chant Krishna's names.
Keep it simple.
Notice the moon, but don't worry about it.
Become a Vaiṣṇava to help your family.
Become a Moonie.
Love Krishna to see how extraordinary he is.
Worship Krishna, don't be a Moonie. How about that one? That'd be a good takeaway. See God in Reverend Sung Young Moon. How about that?
He's there in him too. He's just not God.
He said he was.
Oh, then maybe I got it wrong.
The key to all our problems is to worship Krishna and see him in all living beings. And
Just the key.
Who cares if you live to your full human potential if you're miserable?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Whew. Apologies, I was a little grumpy today. But thanks for everybody who support us. It's a community-supported podcast. If you feel like you get something out of this podcast, you check in regularly. Be a contributing member. It helps us keep this thing going. started to realize I have no other life except this podcast. It's all really coming down to this now.
Is that why you're so upset?
We got no more time. And remember, January, we got our Wisdom of Sages training happening in India, as well as our 300-hour training. Kirtan Academy, it's all going on. Get away from here in January. Come out to the beautiful Govardhan Eco Village and join us. It's all available on my website, raghunath.yoga. You can check that out. You can register for the Wisdom of the Sages one on wisdomofthesages.com. Thanks for everybody who is supporting us right now. We really, really want to just express our gratitude. Saturday's Q&A day. Send your questions in. Miss Mara will read them to us. Do we have an interview this weekend?
No, we don't have to.
We don't have one lined up. It's only Monday. Usually hustle at the 11th hour. And furthermore, Wisdom of the Sages retreat at Super Soul Farm. That's on the Wisdom of the Sages website, or it's on my website. Easier to find, I find on my website, raghunath.yoga events, and that will take you right to the place in the Wisdom of the Sages site.